members of Conforce and other community leaders, other community organizations standing with us. This is something that we try to do every year to start the year off by addressing the coming year and the pressing issues that we faced in the previous year and how we hope to move forward this year on the issues of the city. That being said, I would like to start by offering a moment of silence for all of the people who we have lost so far this year. So let us start off with at least that. Give us a second to have a moment of silence to honor the lives we have lost in Milwaukee so far this year. Ashe. With that being said, we want to address a couple issues. Number one, public safety and crime prevention. On January 22nd, the Milwaukee Medical Examiner Office tweeted that at this point in 2021, we had 6 homicides as compared to 8 this year. And that was at the time. That was a couple days ago. In the small span of January, we have had a woman shot and killed, her daughter shot 10 times, she survived. We've had an officer shot, we've had a 14-year-old killed on the south side, a 16-year-old killed while at work, and multiple other fatal and non-fatal incidents in our city. This is not a good start, but we have 11 more months that we can make better. Acting Mayor Chevy Johnson held a press conference recently addressing his safety plan for addressing crime in Milwaukee, and we implore any and all potential candidates to also have a comprehensive and viable plan that does not include more police and more police spending, not just include more police and more police spending, but a balance of proactive and collaborative tactics this city deserves. In saying that, I also employ Chevy and any candidate to not do as former mayor and not being as intentional about including key figures and components, specifically leaders in respective sides and parts of the city, who are fixtures and consistent with successful efforts in addressing, confronting, and combating crime and issues across this city. People talk so much about silos, but we continue to act in a silo manner from the leadership down. The support for grassroots and resident-led efforts, such as those of Dream Team United MKE, God's Touch, MKE Team Havoc, Montreal Kane with Mirror Wisconsin, Movement Men, etc., needs to be prioritized and recognized, as these are leading efforts to proactively interrupt and intervene in everyday incidents. But we need their support, collaboration, and cooperation of them and other cities, leaders and entities, county, state as well, to do what we do more efficiently and effectively. The second thing I would like to address is voting. I would like our residents to know that the importance of knowing the changes that have happened due to these conversations and meetings surrounding redistricting. A lot of people are not aware of all of the changes that have been being made, and that they would likely affect where their usual poll location is. So we encourage and implore as many people to participate in this year's election, specifically in selecting the new mayor of the city. And Conforce will commit to being center stage at providing information, insight, safety measures, and providing COVID supplies at polling sites to ensure folks have masks and other materials that will help combat the spread and risk of COVID, as we have previously. We encourage area Black student unions and others to have discussions on engaging their college-age peers and students to vote or to become potential candidates themselves. The next issue I would like to touch on is county jail / house correction / MSDF, our jail system that we have in the city and the surrounding area. As we have also seen this year, we have huge issues, not only throughout the state, in hospitals, workplaces, businesses, and etc., a huge rise in spread of new variants of COVID-19. We, in particular, have both a rise in incidents and complaints coming from both staff and in-custody individuals in our jails. Now, I know Sheriff Lucas and his executive staff have addressed this publicly and have told us that things are under control. but there are contrary evidences that say otherwise. I implore both the sheriff and his executive staff immediately to tour the jail and to meet with his correction officers, meet with folks like Ryan Clancy, who was here today, who have growing and legitimate concerns about the conditions and risks they face. And a formal plan be put into place immediately to address these issues for their own safety and health, as well as the lives that they have in their hands daily as far as those who are in custody. I also, amid concerns of understaffed jails and overpopulations of those in custody, implore the county and jail officials work to formulate some plan that prioritizes those in custody so that the lower level detainees can be released and the focus can be retained on higher risk and more serious and dangerous cases that involve violence, the threat of violence, in particular reckless endangerment, homicides, domestic violence, etc., so that the jail populations are more manageable and we put less people at risk or danger onto the staff so they can be cared for more effectively. Reckless driving and other traffic offenses is another issue. Last month we completed our 7th door-to-door gift drive, and part of the over 700 gift bags we handed out free to children and families in the Center Street area between East-West 33rd to 41st and North-South Hatley to Wright or Clark. Among those were pamphlets from partners such as WCS that went out to educate and inform residents of ways we can help them recover their licenses. We call on those and other partners to help residents who may have tickets, warrants, need registration reinstatements, and et cetera, to help and address and lower the need for everyday folks with these issues who may not be necessarily the problem when it comes to reckless driving or drivers with challenges as far as having everything in order. We're having conversations about taking people's cars. The police are talking about taking people's cars. These are conversations that are being had, but what typically happens is those things end up affecting people who are not necessarily the problem. They further povertize people, and when you have more people losing their transportation, you have more people losing ways to get to work, that's going to add to other elements of the city that can end in crime and other things when people have to foot commute as well. Connect with us and let us connect your services to those in need. Let's organize and host clinics to get people in good standing, possibly including even folks here today. The health department and employers. We need a mandated standard of best practice guidelines for companies dealing with exposed or infected employees that protects them and patrons rather than put them in harm's way or heightens the risk of infection and exposure. We encourage employers to continue to reach out to ComForce if they feel their workplace is unsafe and that they are being forced into potentially dangerous conditions. This goes for all workplaces, including law enforcement, fast food, and et cetera, as we get complaints from most every industry. However, we can work with the health department as we have before to ensure folks have access to supplies as we have in the past. Let's continue to do that. In the years since COVID, we have helped supply masks and other COVID materials to MCTS drivers, post office workers, local daycares, and et cetera. There are currently elderly apartment complexes reaching out to me that their residents are stating they cannot commute or travel to these designated locations where supplies are being given away. And so in my opinion, we need to focus and organize direct handouts to those particular populations as well. Especially being that those age groups are possibly more apt to losing their lives or, worse conditions from catching COVID. My team and I will gladly assist with whatever efforts we could put together with that. In 2019, the county, via collaboration with the Office of African American Affairs, featured a community questionnaire form that I created to help align residents with resources and information they assessed as vital or important to them. This year, I hope we can revamp that and engage residents again with whatever issues they find the most important to them, as well as provide them with organizations or resources to help combat the different pressing health, safety, and other needs they may have. So I'm reaching out again to the Office of African American Affairs and to the county to collaborate with us so that we can engage residents to connect them with whatever resources they may need. I also want to address the GOP police support package by Speaker Voss and his, I don't even know what to call it. We understand the call and need for law enforcement. However, not only did I not see representation in that press conference by Speaker Voss and others, but what I heard was even worse. First off, it is a flat-out lie and purposely misleading to tell voters that the shortage of officers in departments is due to the defund movement. In fact, our local, state, and federal government have went against the acts and demands of people and have found multiple masses of additional support dollars for department asks and needs during the George Floyd era. The facts are that a lot of these officers resigned or retired as their personal form of protest against the George Floyd and accountability efforts. The facts are that we do not have dollars for essential crime prevention methods, jobs, and et cetera that will prevent the need for law enforcement in the first place. As long as we still have these issues and they remain prevalent, that continue to show that we cannot trust or rely completely on law enforcement, no bill or package will fix that. We want officers who respect all communities and people. There was even people who spoke towards unbanning chokeholds and even unbanning no-knock warrants, which is ridiculous and flat-out malicious, as Milwaukee just voted to ban both essentially. This whole quote that choking someone, which typically isn't even necessary in any case, let alone most cases, somehow is a tool officers need for their own safety, when in most cases these strangleholds are used excessively and end up altering or taking the life of people, and costing the taxpayers money in lawsuits. Not to mention the same claim for no-knock warrants, when there are many instances of no-knock warrants being deadly for officers and suspects, including innocent people who they get the wrong address, they burst in the house, they end up shooting somebody that has nothing to do with why they're supposed to be there in the first place. Those are reasons why folks have went against those particular things. But for officers and suspects, allowing them to barge in randomly and unannounced, some reasonable people would and could mistake that for a home invasion, burglar, and result in shots being fired by police or suspects. I actually believe these folks are continuing a trend of legislation and laws that specifically and particularly affect Milwaukee and its black and brown populations, as they have the privilege and luxury of creating these issues in communities they aren't from and don't even represent, which in my opinion, they shouldn't be able to. Lastly, we have a number of youth plans. Last but not least, Conforce, Program of Parks, and our other partners will continue to serve Milwaukee neighborhood families and youth with giveaways, resource events, and community events geared toward engaging residents, unifying neighbors, providing safe spaces and opportunity for area youth, and bring economic opportunity to help support residents in need in 2022. And we implore anyone with something positive to add to tap in with ourselves. Dream Team United MKE, Homer Blow Foundation, God's Touch MKE. You have Butterfly Effect. You have a lot of different organizations that are doing work and consistently out here serving the city and its residents, not just on the north side of Milwaukee and not just in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As the team and members that you see here today, we're part of several efforts last year of disaster relief trips where we went out to 3 different states and serviced 3 different cities, 6 cities last year in disaster relief efforts. We are still looking for people to tap in to support our lock-in program plan, things like Tay-Day for this year, and as well as our this year's door-to-door gift drive effort, and a new plan for a pre-summer event for young athletes to showcase their talents and earn stipends, while we, of course, promote and focus on interrupting violence, messaging of anti-stolies, and messaging such as Guns Down Milltown. So these are just some of the issues that we find important. These are some of the solutions that we're offering, and I will, this is Montreal Kane. He'll let you know about the thing he has going on, and we're in full support of it.
My name is Montreal Kane. I'm the founder and executive director of MIRA, which stands for Monitor, Engage, Recommend, and Advocate. In 2014, just a block north of where we're standing in this rotunda, Dontre Hamilton lost his life at Red Arrow Park in broad daylight. a member of the mental health community who has paved the way for similar stories to take place and that have taken place. In Wisconsin, there's 1.9 million families who are living with mental illnesses. There are family members who are constantly put into these unique positions where they become criminalized instead of hospitalized. 1 in 4 individuals are living with serious conditions like depression, while 1 in 17 are living with uncontrollable conditions like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. We created a solution where we use assistive technology like an Apple Watch that reads your heart rate, that allows your family members and licensed clinicians of color to support families all across Milwaukee County. We use this data and we share this with your family and says, hey, 3 individuals can look at a watch, look at a phone and find out where you are, how you're feeling, if you need support, while therapists are standing on call, even better than Uber or Lyft. With this solution, we can mitigate some of these challenges. We use music as a form of mindfulness. We use attitude adjustment playlists to show that when you listen to songs, we can lower your heart rate, depression, and anxiety. We've met with elected officials. We've met with alderpersons. We've met with common council members. We've met with county supervisors. We've met with state legislators. But the real sincere effort to show that we are in alignment is to cut a check. We're asking for you to make sure that you're prepared to understand there's a more excellent way to care for the mental health community. When we look at these numbers, individuals are 16 times more likely to deal at the hands of a police when they're experiencing a mental health manifestation. We understand that 1 in 4 police encounters that end in death has someone in the mental health community. And when we look at what our city has received with the ARPA dollars, over $374 million, what the county has received, over $173 million, what the state has received, over $2 billion, what MPS has received, we know that our solution is not only innovative, but it allows us to actually treat humans with the dignity and the respect that it deserves. When you look at these efforts of the collaboration that stands here, it's not just about mental health, it's about our health. It's about addressing the health equity and the disparities. It's about having digital equity. It's about making sure that we are not having food deserts. It's about making sure we have access to broadband technology. We deserve the same support that a K-9 would receive on the police department, if not more, right? Because we're humans. So we have to understand when it's time for us to collaborate. There are new leadership. We have a new mayor. We have a new fire and police commissioner. We have a new police chief. It's time for some new solutions. My name is Montreal Kane, and I thank you for this opportunity.
You hear it there. As he said, as far as those ARPA funds are concerned, you have, again, folks trying to find all these different ways to put money into places that money is already going that is not necessarily impacting our city towards a progressive or productive, moving forward. These are things you can invest in. These are things you should be looking to invest in. Our team, Conforce, we respond to some of these calls, and we do not have the training and the skills and tools that Montreal and his team have. You know what I mean? So you have people every day on the ground who are responding to these high-risk, impactful, very traumatic incidents. We have something that we have to go to today, a DV incident that we have to take care of. I mean, we're not equipped like the police are. We are not funded. We are community members stepping up and forward to address these things. So County Supervisor Ryan Clancy is here. I would like to see if he has a couple words.
So I spend a fair amount of time in the community talking to residents about what they want. And what you just heard today was a long list of crisis after crisis. And the indication that we don't have the funds to pay for those. The people doing this work, the people making our communities safe are not the police. It's community members that are doing so with few or no resources. If police kept us safe, Milwaukee would be the safest community in the country because half of our municipal budget goes towards the police. So to look around and to hear the police say, well, it'd be a shame if something happened, it'd be a shame if we weren't able to show up. Police do not prevent crime, they respond to it. And they don't respond to it effectively. They don't respond to it in a way that prevents crime in the future, unlike the folks standing beside me and behind me here. What we need is bold leadership. What we need to do is divest resources from police and put them into what we know works. Because we have data on this. We know that at the county level, we have a credible messenger program where when youth get in trouble, we pair them up with a mentor who has been in trouble before and can get them through that, and they do to a staggering degree. And yet we have a waiting list of 40 or 50 kids at a time who are not getting these services because we don't have the political will to fund it. It is absolute madness that we keep trying the same thing over and over and giving half of our tax dollars, 50% here in Milwaukee, to the police when we know that they are effective, that they've always been effective, and that they are not working to really meet our needs. So I am so grateful to the folks doing this work, and I am begging for bold leadership. I am begging for a mayor who will come out and say that they're going to move even a single dollar away from the MPD and towards programs and services and infrastructure that we know will make us a better, safer community. And I thank you for your work here today. Thanks for being here.
I don't know if anybody else on the team has anything in particular to add. Is there time if you would like to? Our young man here we've been working with for a little bit. He has a few words from a youth perspective.
Just from my youth perspective, coming from, my name is Humphrey. I'm part of ComForce Dream Team as well. I'm also MFD Fire Cadet. And from my last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, I've seen pretty much the worst that this community has just been through. Not just with coronavirus, but just like injustice all throughout, not just this city, but the nation. And to be honest, I feel like things need to change. And that just doesn't start with mental health, but it also starts with learning about what's going on in your community. That's what I've been working with LaVon Mays, and I've even gotten the chance to meet Montreal. And to be honest, it's the greatest opportunity. So with this, please take the time to just stop and, if not ask more around your neighborhood, see what you can do for it and understand what you can put back into it if you just take the time. That is all I have to say.
Again, we encourage not only adults and residents, particularly men and boys, to step forward and be a part of this change, because as you see, the general makeup, our entire team is not here, our entire collaborative partnership is not here, but it's predominantly the women who continue to step forward and do this work. So we call on the men and boys, such as Tevin. Tevin has been a part of some of those trips that we've told you about going out and serving other communities and other cities and states in dire need. And he's grown to be a great young man. He's becoming hopefully he'll be on a firefighter officially, soon. And we support all young people trying to move positively in this city. And so again, we implore leadership that goes from the mayor down to meet with the different folks you see here, to hear our plans, to figure out how they can collaborate with us, and vice versa. Police as well. There are many calls we go to where we collaborate with the police. The police are there, we're there, and we move and quell different incidents. That don't have to mean that we are on a buddy or anything like that. It's the work, and it's about the community, and it's about addressing these issues. So does anybody else have one? And with that, I don't know if you guys have any questions, but that concludes our press conference today. Thank you.